The league start, I understand, is a little rough for a lot of you, but if you are playing Bladefall Blade Blast, I have a few tips for this video. If you're not, I have a couple of just generic things that I'm here to share with you as well. I just want to show how the Bladefall Blade Blast character is doing. I guess I picked up an acceleration shrine, so it's not going to be the most honest viewing, but this character is performing fine. It was a little rough at the first, I'm not going to lie, at the very first swap, because I didn't have as much cast speed or dot multi as I wanted because gearing's a little bit difficult. But we'll talk about how exactly you can have a slightly easier time. It's going to be things like Mark of Submission, which is a unique ring that allows you to put a Despair in your ring slot. So it's an unset ring. You can put your Despair in there, and when you do that, it lets you have a free Despair on hit. Right, so you're cursing enemies with Socket Hex Curse Gem on hit, and then you just put your Despair in here. This is how most of you should be getting your Despair on hit off the first, your first Despair on hit ring, because the Hunter influences are really expensive. Caster Reforge is very hard to obtain right now. It's very, it's very unfortunate, but it is what it is, and we just gotta cope, right? Unless we're just not gonna play. For me, I still want to play. It's still PoE. I'm still having a blast, but we have to have these workarounds, and that's my bad. I was gonna suggest this as one of the rings that you could use early on, but I really didn't want to suggest a unique right off the bat. Silly me, I figured I figured that having a hunter influenced ring would be a little bit easier than relying on a unique, because I figured the unique stuff would change and it would be too hard to obtain, right, with the new like weightings. But it's only some uniques that are really hard to obtain. Right now it's harder to obtain a hunter influence base, and even more so to get enough life force that you can do your caster reforges. So Mark of Submission's a go. The gloves I'm using now are Worm Sign. They have conk effect in them, so you would just, instead of using the shaper gloves with faster casting, you would put your faster casting in the gloves, because these have conk, right? Whereas in the shaper gloves, we are doing faster casting support, and then we are linking conk effect. Now we're doing conk effect on our gloves and faster casting support in the gloves. So that's a pretty, you know, easy swap there. I don't really recommend everybody to use these gloves though. They're really hard to color. So your first gloves, I mean, shaper bases are really cheap right now. Now that we're getting into the league a little bit, you can grab a shaper base, making sure to get evasion. You know, it's like 5C, and then you do a couple harvests, you do your reforges, and you should be able to color 3 blue a little bit easier than an armor evasion. Right? Try to pick up a evasion ES base like this. It'll be super easy. But yeah, the Mark of Submission, that's the big one. If you're struggling with your damage right away, it's going to be a few of these things. Right, you're missing dot multi, you're missing cast speed, and you're missing gem levels, and then levels on your character and gem quality. 99% of the time, the people I have coming to me asking about low damage, they have like all level 15 gems. They're missing their Uber lab, so they don't have this additional curse here, malediction. This is 10% more damage, and it also opens up temp chains with blasphemy, which makes your poisons last a lot longer. Then Despair on hit, and then your last curse is going to be Poacher's Mark with quality. You need to have a Poacher's Mark with quality, because the quality is what gives the frenzy charge on hit. A 5% low. We're hitting so many times that we proc the 5% on every boss anyway. A big part of your damage on this build is going to come from using Plague Bearer and Withering Step on bosses. You have to make sure you do that. If you can, get the Focus Duration Ailment Craft on your helmet. Even though it's nerfed, it's still really good. It's just not as good as it used to. But that's pretty much how you're gonna have all of your early damage. Poisonous Concoction is good enough to get into red maps. If you're starting to struggle with damage there, just blast on yellows and gear out your character and start buying things for the BFBB swap. I get a lot of questions of like, when should I swap to Bladefall Blade Blast? And it's when you have everything that I've outlined for the Bladefall Blade Blast swap. You gotta have it all, dude. Right? You gotta have the clusters, and it's like, what do I buy first for the swap? It's like, doesn't matter, dude. You just gotta have it all, right? So buy whatever you can. or upgrade your character a little bit so you can farm comfortably. Yeah, if you're struggling on damage and whatnot, go back some tiers. It's better to do 2 yellow maps than it is to do 1 red map, right? Red maps are only more valuable when you can do them pretty much as quickly as yellows, like a little bit slower, right? You're not wanting to be 10 minutes into a red map and struggling. Just blast some like yellow maps. You can still make money in yellow maps, totally fine. You're still gonna find expedition. You can get some life force if you're doing harvest. You can craft some gear. You can find screaming essences in your yellow maps, and you can just do like normal currency things, right? Just like legions are gonna drop stuff. Maybe you get lucky on a mirror. What is it? The lake mirror thing? Whatever. All right, those kind of suck anyways. For wandcraft, we can't do more likely because it's not much more likely anymore, which apparently was like 90 or 100 times the waiting. Now it's only 10 times. Isn't that fun? So what I did was I bought a fractured cast speed. I couldn't get a fractured cast speed on one of the good bases that has the implicit. So that would be, I think it's profane, which we can't use, heathen, and then pagan. So you want heathen or pagan with fractured cast speed, but there's just not that many fractures up. But then I just bought fractured cast speed, chaos reforge. I understand this is a little unrealistic. So if you're looking for wand purchases, you purchase chaos multi damage over time, chaos damage, right? And then you're going to craft cast speed for 1 exalt. Cast speed is probably the most difficult to hit because there's so many caster mods on wands. But 1 exalt right now, brother, it's like 10C, okay? You could do the 1 exalt craft and it doesn't even feel bad. 18 to 20 cast speed, that's good enough, okay? So make sure you get that. And then I don't have the chaos damage and skill effect duration. That is better than the gain physical, but you do want to have gain 7% fizz as extra chaos, 7 to 8 on your shield, and that's an it that fled unveil. I did the same kind of thing on my amulet, except there's less caster mods here, so you can pick up dot multi and then caster reforge for cast speed. And there's really only a few things that you can get there. Other than that, I've just been leveling my gems. I'm able to do T16 maps. I guess that map wasn't the best showcase because I had an acceleration shrine, but for a single target, it honestly was about what you would expect with the gear I have, because you probably saw I was running out of mana all the time anyway. So it doesn't even matter that I have that much action speed. Like, I don't have enough mana anyway. Like, maybe it was a small boost, but it really wasn't that much. I have my Shaper ring here with a life gain on hit with spells, but I'm thinking I kind of want damage, so I might arrive with some, where is it? Where's my Ming? Here it is. I might arrive with some Mings, dude. You can grab a 58% Mings for what? It's like 20 to 30 C, 58, 59. That is really good, because if you throw that Ming in, now you're going to lose your recovery. But let's throw the Mings in. And when you buy a Mings, oh geez, I didn't even look up the price of the catalysts, but let's just say we have no catalysts. I put this Ming in here instead of my life on hit ring, and I go up to like 3.7 million from 2.9, right? That's a pretty big boost. I also get all the chaos res my build needs. You just have to solve your res around it. You do lose a lot of life and you do lose your recovery. But if you're looking for damage, I mean, hey, there you go. Wait. Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, I just goofed it with a Shaper ring. But if you do Mings and then you catalyst it, you can get this to be even more. Eventually, I wouldn't really do this. Right, here's another big boost. We got 5% damage from the catalyst quality, so it gets us to 3.9. So you get like 1 million off of your Shaper ring, depending on what gear set you're on. But yeah, it's just an easy way to boost your damage. I wouldn't really do the Mings until you can Awaken Orb Despair with the life gain on hit. That's really what you want to do. And then the Mings doesn't feel like you're losing so much there. But I know for a lot of people, they're struggling with gearing. So let's talk about some ways that you can gear outside of just buying fractured bases. Essences are really difficult, okay? Harvest is not that rewarding, which is what I'll be testing on stream today. Hey, come check me out, twitch.tv/tripolarbear. I'm going to be testing out a Wandering Path and Harvest strat. We're going to do Wandering Path, which increases the effect of all the small notables. And so I even have this tree here that I'm planning on using. I'll link this down in the description of the YouTube video. But this tree here is grabbing all of the quant of life force from Harvest. But that's not what makes it so important, right? Because this is 100% increase effect of all the small ones. So all these small ones, I get a bunch of quantity, I get a bunch of just generic rarity as well. I get a lot of chance for free harvests. And then what's really good is increasing this right here, which is the effect of modifiers on non-unique maps. Now that sounds like just a downside, but the modifier effect is tied to the quantity that it gives. So when you increase like the physical as extra fire on your map, when that goes from like 100 to 160, you get 60% increased quantity or whatever that mod was giving, right? If it gave 20, then you get an extra 5 quantity from that, and it applies to everything, right? So you get so much more quantity when you're running maps like this, on top of getting an extra 30 quantity from all the nodes in the middle as well, and some extra rarity. It's really, really nice. And I had some points left over, so I'm doing expedition. You see I branched out here. This isn't a goof. You do this for the 4% chance for each of your maps to drop an additional connected map for like one of the monsters. So I get 112% total here. So that's what I'm... Oh, wait. Oh, my gosh. Okay. I haven't been showing anything at all. All right. That's my bad. Here you go. Hey, I'm doing a one take. All right. I'm not even going to cut that out. Don't YouTube... actually, I'm just baiting for YouTube comments. Actually, 5head. I'm baiting for YouTube comments. All right. Here's what I'm doing, guys. Here's what I'm doing. This is what it is. All right. Increased effect of non-unique maps. It's the outer one. You get the quantity in the middle. This thing stops you from taking any of the cool things, so that kind of sucks for expedition. I'm going to have less logbooks, but I want to test out how much life force we can get from this. And then these are what gives the extra map drop, and you can see the totals here. So I have 60% increase effective modifiers. If we go to the bottom, I have 30 quantity, 30 rarity. I have 80% chance to be a tier higher, and I had extra points, so I picked up Legion too. So 120 chance for Templar, 80 for Mariketh, and then a 0.8 for them to drop as emblems, which is really cool. And then a 40% chance for splinters to be duplicated. So that's really, really nice, honestly. And then just expedition things, stream of consciousness. I might drop this and do expedition scarabs to make some money before I do the big harvest swamp meme. But that's my plan today. That's what I plan to do to see how well harvest goes. But if you can't do harvest, you know, you can't stand it, you can't do essences, I think your next big bet is going to be doing ROG. ROG is actually pretty POG. I crafted a few items with him yesterday, and since everybody in the economy is down so bad right now, you can make some pretty decent stuff with ROG. It's kind of... You kind of just got to get used to it. You'll kind of figure out like what to look for on the gear. But like, I don't know, this helmet, it's got life and 1 res. Like I might dick around with that. You really want to try for some evasion pieces so that you could roll suppression on them, or jewelry so that they could get like lots of life, lots of res. But let's just take this helmet, for example, and we'll try to roll it to have suppression. You kind of just like dick around, remove all suffixes. Yeah, they're not good, so we'll do that. Remove all prefixes. Okay, now we have... Okay, hold on. It's going to get really good. Hold on. Hold on, I'm going to skip that. Okay, not a good example. All right, one more. Stun and block, we got rarity. Oh my gosh, I need him to stop talking. Okay, not the best example here. I should have just clip chimped me getting a really good one. Let's re-roll our suffixes. Oh, look at that. We hit suppression. Let's roll our suffixes. Okay, one more time. Okay, not the best example, but sometimes you get some really cool stuff. Really, you shouldn't just be grabbing random things like I am here. It's not gonna work out the best most of the time, but sometimes, I mean, look at this. T1 chaos, T1 strength, you know, it's got some life, it's got some whatever. Let's skip this. Upgrade the mods. Sure, let's skip that and whatever. Now I've got life, I've got chaos res, I've got strength. Maybe somebody wants that. Okay, honest to God, put all your items in like a 2C buyout tab when you're super poor, and when you stop being super poor, I do a 4C because I don't want to do 2C trades anymore. But this is pretty much just how I think a lot of people are going to be able to obtain their gear. I think the best bet is to find something that's already pretty decent, because starting from this is kind of rough, right? You kind of have to luck into things. I lucked into some fizz, re-rolling my suffixes. I don't really want to because it already has T1 strength. You know, a ring like this, it's not that good, but if you just scrap metal, you can kind of find some decent things. This leather belt has life and 1 T1 res. I really don't want to... I guess I roll my suffixes, right? Even though it has 1, all the other ones suck. Now I've got 2 reses and they're really bad, so I'm going to do it again. And then look at that, I got 2 T3 reses and T1 life. Fill all empty modifiers. I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to just take this item. You know, this belt, it's not the worst, right? It's a leather belt. It's got life, double res. It's got an open prefix for a craft. If you look here, just this life, you know, it's 4C, okay? I made my scrap metal cost back. You're kind of just looking for like random things like that, and then you kind of just YOLO it. This chest piece, maybe we can upgrade the suppression. Maybe we could add a bunch of life to it. Add a prefix 5 times. No, let's skip this. We don't want to add that. Hopefully this upgrades the suppression to the highest tier. Oh my god, it actually did. Alright. This one's, I don't know, it's not the worst. I bet, like, the economy's down so bad, I bet someone buys this. It's got a prefix open too. There's no way somebody, I'm coping now. I'm actually coping. There's no way this is actually 10 chaos. There's no way. There's no way. Hold on, I'm gonna list it for sale. There's no way this sells before the video ends. I guess like cheap upgrades that you should buy if you're just starting. I know not everybody's like in red maps and they're blasting already, but if you're kind of struggling, you're middling in like white and yellow maps, make sure you're getting like early 5 links. Make sure you're doing your Merc lab so you can get all your stuff set up right away. I've had some people on Poison Concoction come to me, no 5 link, and they weren't using the proper blasphemy setup. That's really bad because then they don't have explosions. They've not had any explosions on their character this whole time, which is really bad. So just make sure you're following the skill gems and whatever. If you're doing that, you're gonna be okay on Poison Concoction. I've had people I've had people say like, oh, Poison Concoction's boss DPS isn't that good, so that's why my white map damage is so bad. That's not true. When I say Poison Concoction isn't a good bosser, I mean, you wouldn't want to do your Maven or Uber Elder. That does not mean that you shouldn't be able to kill white maps, right? If you can't kill white map bosses, you're doing something wrong. Make sure you're pressing Wither Step. Make sure you're using Plague Bearer. You got to make sure you're doing all that. And yeah, your damage should be totally fine. Anyways, like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. All right, peace.